None of this. What I found most memorable about this was the camaraderie of the team at the end of the game. Like, they were dragging that man to 50 points. Like, it was a collective. This Grizzlies team is really just juntos. They're just on the same page, and they saw that something special was happening, and everyone put their ego to the side, their own thoughts and desires of their own stat lines to the side, and they made him get 50 cents with 50 points with hustle plays and with giving him the ball. And it really felt like in that pose at the end when he's got the 5-0 up and they're all kind of posing like a have you ever seen like a football player in the NFL get a turnover? Have you ever seen that happen?
Yeah, they do. Once or twice I've seen it every now and then.
But there's this new thing the past 3 years where we all do a group photo in the end zone, and it had that kind of vibe. Like, what really impressed me and was most memorable to me is just like the togetherness of this team and how they all ride for each other so hard. And there's one star. Let's be honest, Jaren Jackson Jr. is a good player. They got a bunch of good role models, but there's one star.
That's the point, though. Like, it's hard not to ride for him when he is clearly the one guy there. There's nobody else to pull it off. It's not a Kobe Shaq situation going on down there. We all ride for each other like we are riding for Monica right now because she is riding on our backs because she's contributing nothing but her pretty face. We need some words from her at some point. Can we hear her yet? No? Good. All right. So it sounded like you were about to say 50 Cent. Like, did you say what
does a slip up? We're going to get to that later. I'm sure we're going to talk about the game and Dr. Dre and what's going on Drink Champs later in the show. I'm sure that's going to make the rundown.
I was going to say that might have been like a good slip because that's what it feels like. The rest of them are G Unit. Like, none of them are really all that impressive.
Whoa. I'm not going to let you say that about my man Lloyd Banks.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say Lloyd Banks.
The three at the half.
I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I can't hear you. But this is the most impressive part. I'm just going to use my board.
We can hear you, though. Like, it's the thing. You just
we can hear you.
She doesn't know what's going on at all.
She doesn't have AirPods in. That's the only problem. It's like sometimes tech is complicated. Sometimes, like, put some headphones in, and you'll be able to hear us.
I mean, I think the 52 points was most impressive because it encompasses everything. But I think we got some clips from last night. Can we show the dunk first? Like, I think sixth.
Look at the left elbow. Look at the left elbow just go right to the jaw. That is rude. That is rude. As a slow, big white guy, this hurts my
feelings. That is incredible.
That wasn't the only time he scored on Poto. Like, there were so many times that when I watched the highlights of all of his points, I was like, it seems like he scored the vast majority of them on this one dude for Jakob Poto.
I wanted to commiserate with you over seeing their togetherness, but I watched it all this morning, so I didn't see all the togetherness. I just saw Ja cooking at and he didn't. It was like an efficient 52. Also, like, he was hitting threes from everywhere on the floor, deep shots. What he was doing was impressive. I do think we need to show the buzzer beater, though, which I'm not sure that Ja was the most impressive part of this buzzer beater.
Thank you for just look at Steven Adams with the vision. The Washington Commanders are looking at Steven Adams like, I don't know.
Accuracy? He could see over the line.
He pointed, too. I don't know if you see it, but then he points, and Ja, on his ISO camera, puts his hand up like a receiver. You know what? I'm glad that we're celebrating Steven Adams part of this because everyone's going to talk about Ja Morant, but Steven Adams, it takes a quarterback to make a great throw for a receiver to make a great play like that.
He wasn't under pressure, though. We'll see what happens when they send a blitz package at old Steven Adams. He might crumble under the pressure. But I do think that one of the things that I notice sometimes is it seems like we go back to like simple times in sports where there was one kid that was better than the rest of the kids. And Ja feels like that guy where they're like, we know what he's going to do, but he's so much faster, quicker, more explosive than us and more skilled also. Somehow he splits the double team like consistently.
Easily.
And I've tried to do that while playing basketball. And like, I'm not playing against NBA level talent and I'm a decent athlete. Like, it feels like it's impossible. The amount of like explosiveness that you have to threaten them enough to open up the seam there and then cut through it. What we got here?
Wait.
Needed.
You
can talk, Monica.
It wasn't needed last night. But in general, he's a wonderful guard.
Yeah. Thank you.
Not just a highlight guy.
With a heart, too. We appreciate the heart, the extra little spice there. Alabaster, you had an interjection?
Yeah. I was just going to say, this is like the most modest I've ever heard you, Domonique, when you called yourself a decent athlete. You're an exceptional athlete, but I just want to point that out. Rare Domonique Foxworth modesty. Proceed.
No. I like to be honest. I'm talking about at this point in my life, I'm a decent athlete. Like compared to Ja Morant, I consider myself a decent athlete.
I like that. I like where you set the bar. Like the most athletic human being in sports right now. And then you're like, I'm not at that level, but slightly below that. That's where you would find my athleticism.
My peak athleticism, Ja and I were neck and neck. But
I've played basketball with you before, Domonique. You can hoop. You can play. You can split a double team. You can split a double team if you had to.
That's the thing. I've tried it before. It's really hard to do. I don't know if it's ball handling or if it's just the explosiveness, but that's the thing that he does consistently. I guess also dunking on people consistently.
For me, it is he gets around his man at will, and the help defender is just absolutely hopeless. Because when Ja Morant sizes up the help, where it's coming from, where they're leaning, he can go up and around using those long arms. He also creates a lot of contact for someone of his size. He'll put a shoulder into you and then use that momentum to get a little and one. And his finishing is only rivaled by like a Steph or a Kyrie around the basket. There are efficiency and volume numbers about how often and how efficient he is shooting around the basket that make you feel like he is a much bigger player, like a center, like someone who just catches lobs like Clint Capella. He's got that kind of efficiency and volume around the basket.
This year, we got maybe 2 more seasons that we are allowed to enjoy this. And I would like to lean in and really enjoy it. Because after that, then all the jerks are going to come out and talk about how he can't take them to the finals.
Oh, yeah.
Or he hasn't won a championship. And then after that, 3 to 4 years after that, he's going to lose some level of athleticism. He's going to have to morph his game into something different. So, like, we really should, and I'm ashamed of myself that I didn't watch last night's game, but I'm going to watch a lot more Ja Morant coming up because there's going to come a time when Ja Morant's career is going to be somewhat spoiled, because he's going to hear all of us talking about all this foolishness about you got to win a championship. Can he get past the second round? Blah, 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 blah. And it's going to impact his game. And then at some point, he's going to lose his athleticism. He's going to turn to the fadeaway jumpers. And when he attracts the help defender, he's going to pass it off rather than bang on him. Like, all that stuff is coming. And I just want to warn everyone to enjoy it while it's here.
Grumpy Domonique. For those of us tuning in now, he said he was grumpy. And you know what? I'm going to spin this positive. I'm going to be a positron to your negatron. Here's what's so nice about Ja Morant's current situation, okay? I looked up the salaries. Only Steven Adams makes over $10 million, right? Most of these players are on their rookie deal. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s extension kicks in next year. Ja Morant's going to start picking up too, but those are 2 players that you're happy to pay the salaries they've got. They're not bogged down by salaries because they develop from within so well with Bane and with Brooks. Brooks is hurt. Like, one of their best players. Brooks shoots as much as Ja Morant, and no one talks about the fact that he's missing. We talk about Jamal Murray all the time, and what if that was happening? We talk about people that are missing from the Nets constantly all season long, but no one talks about that. And enjoy this now, but you see often a player take a leap like this, and then teams say, we need to put the right pieces around him. Like Luka did this, and they decided the right piece was Kristaps Porzingis. Maybe a miscalculation. But then they realized it was a miscalculation, and they brought in Dinwiddie and Bertans to try to get off of them. I think that with like 2 or 3 good roster moves, they can really put something around him that will get him from, it'd be nice if we got to the second round, to we need to be in the finals, because that's where they are. They're a game behind the Warriors, and I think Chris Paul has enough of the Suns have enough of a cushion to hold on to that number 1 spot, but they could definitely be in the number 2 spot easily.
I think their style of play is really impressive right now. Them and I don't know. I cover football more than basketball, but I do think that basketball playoffs, it actually changes. We make a whole bunch about like how football now it's playoff football. Nah. Playoff football is the same thing. You got a whole week to prepare. Maybe it's a little bit more intense, but it's the same thing. But playoff basketball is a different game. So we'll see how Ja Morant adjusts to that when a team is not just coming off a back-to-back or just like, all right, we're in Memphis, let's get a win. When they're like, all right, this is what Ja does well. Let's take that away. Because presumably most teams will have enough athletes to force Ja Morant or the Grizzly to find some other way to beat them. So that's the next step for Ja Morant. I refuse to be critical of him at any point. I'll leave that up to the basketball nerds like you, David, who are going to come out here and tell us how he's not that efficient, even though he's efficient as hell, too.
No, he is. I mean, I think you could point to his game and say he shoots 34% from three, which is, I mean, you'd like someone who has the ball as much as he does to shoot a little bit better from three, but it's not like he's putting up 7 or 8 a game. I think he only put up 4 last night and got to 52 points. Like, he is an extremely impressive star. And I think you've got the right idea is like, let's track how this goes. This is the breakout year. This is okay, now you're an all-NBA player. Now you're a superstar. Now you're in a conversation of one of the best in your position. Now it turns to team success and playoff success. Last year, they were in the playoffs.
We got you?
Am I here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hooray.
Oh, hey, Monica McNutt joins the show, everybody.
We've only been
bringing someone new in partway through. This is great. This is like a late night talk show.
We've only been doing
I'm
this
gonna go
for
the second
like 2
position
years.
on the couch. Now you can talk to Monica.
It's fine. Okay, I do want to chime in. I do think playoffs are going to be interesting. However, I think
Ladies and gentlemen, Monica McNutt. All right. You made a great point. The playoffs are going to be interesting. You're right. The playoffs are going to be interesting. That's a fact.
Period.
It's a fact.
Good job.
But I do think that we focus a lot on Ja, but don't forget how the depth of that roster in terms of guys that can help alleviate pressure off of him. And he won't necessarily have to score. Like, he doesn't shoot threes a ton. But remember, I keep going back to that playing game in terms of his basketball IQ. He does a great job of reading what the game needs and allowing what the defense gives him to dictate what he's going to do. Jaren Jackson is a stud in this league. Like, Shlomo Kyle.
Yeah. I like the dramatic pauses.
Yeah, these are
Crazy.
great.
He can hit timely baskets. Hopefully Dylan Brooks gets healthy. And Desmond Bane, I think we're going to be talking about Desmond Bane in a completely separate category apart from Ja over the next 2 years. So I think when you talk about Memphis, yes, Ja is the highlight, but that's not where it stops.
All right. Well, you need to holler at Comcast. Is that who you got?
Yeah, Spectrum. You need me to send me a Venmo request. I'll get Spectrum on the line right now. I'll get them over there.
Yeah. I mean, this is unfortunate. You got to go for the top of the line plan. Stop trying to cut corners.
And she's frozen again.
I know.
I'm not frozen. I'm moving.
You cutting corners. Did you turn off your Xbox? Is your cell phone off? Oh, goodness.
You got to get on the line with Spectrum.
Alabaster, what you got for us?
Well, I have a question for Monica as our resident.
We all
How would you do that?
We all have
be
questions
tough.
for Monica.
So I'm going to ask it to you guys, and we can go sort of around the group on this one, which is, okay, we are sort of talking about Memphis like their window is in the future. And my question is why? The West is more wide open than it's ever been. Outside of Jokic, Ja Morant might be the best player in the Western Conference this season. Their roster is incredibly deep. Jaren Jackson makes it so there's not 3 layups at the rim. Why can't they win the West now? We thought that about the Derrick Rose Bulls in 2011. Like, why not now?
Quickly before my connection disrupts. You know what? I actually said that this morning on another program. Like, their ceiling in terms of getting to the finals is now. Like, I know Draymond's a huge part of what the Warriors do, but a back injury isn't something that is like, oh, he's durable necessarily. You know what I'm saying? He's a box out away from having another issue. I still take Phoenix out of the West, but there's a legit path to me for the Grizzlies to get to the finals. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just Ja.
I think it's fair to say there's a path for them to get to the finals, but it's not they play great basketball, so I have them getting to the finals. That, to me, is the Phoenix Suns. And we can talk about Chris Paul's health. He's on track to get back for the playoffs. And we remember he couldn't even lift his arm, or he couldn't lift his hand over his head. And he still beat the Lakers in that series and took them to the finals. So for me, yes, there's a path for them to get to the finals, but it's not Ja Morant puts him on the back and Jaren Jackson takes a leap and Desmond Bane shoots 50% from 3. It is if this team isn't healthy, if that team isn't healthy, if the playing games go a certain way, that's how they get there. So yes, they can get there, but it comes with caveats. Whereas the Phoenix Suns, my favorite to come out of the West, they just need to play the Phoenix Suns basketball and be healthy.
Yeah, I mean, you could point to aberrations where this has happened, but I mean, all the years that we've been watching basketball and all the years I've listened to people talk about basketball, they always tell the story of how you have to make a run first before you go to the finals. Like that experience in the NBA players in the NBA playoffs matters somehow. I don't understand completely how it matters, but it seems to always matter. And as deep as their roster is, it's something that's fun to talk about. but I'm not sure how much depth matters as much as like roster flexibility matters, because the depth, I guess the rotations get tighter in the playoffs. You don't give minutes to all those people. If you're able to adjust, and I'm not sure that they have the length to have that roster flexibility. So while this team is a really impressive regular season team, I'm not sure that they are seasoned or built to make a deep playoff run. If not for, it's possible because they have Ja Morant and they're that talented and other things could go wrong, but they shouldn't be considered the favorites in my view.
Favorites is aggressive, but all I'm saying is
that's what you're saying? I appreciate it. That's all you're saying.
What are we saying now?
this is the word. Oh my God. Nobody saw Phoenix doing what they did last year either.
When me and Domonique talk for like 90 seconds of nonsense, your connection is perfect. And the second we toss to you get like half a syllable out and then it just freezes. It happens every time.
God.
That's some terrible upload speeds. Get it together. Foolishness. So did you want to try to get it in, or are we just going to move on? What?
Let's move on.
Let's do it.
We'll move on. But shout out to you, Monica, for bringing up Desmond Bane. You know, fan favorite of NBA Twitter and someone who deserves some shine.
So disrespectful. Jacoby didn't bring it up at the first time he spoke.
He doesn't listen to me. But if I could time travel back to September, Jacoby, and be like, Desmond Bane is going to be a huge piece of the Western Conference power balance, I would be like, Bane from Batman? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you have to, be honest about how well you know these rosters. And Desmond Bane was not on my radar in September the way he is now as we head into March.
So, as we a moment of honesty.
I can't think of any other Bane lines.
That's a pretty bad Bane.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you got to do. I banged it. That was what was missing from my impersonation was the old shoulder pad grab.
There it is.
Whoa! How did you do that?
Bring
back Jacoby. I'll pay the ransom, Bane. Release David Jacoby immediately.
Nailed it.
All right, you guys ready to talk about the Heat?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, they've won 9 of 10. They're 2 games up on the Bulls in the East. And our question is, how do you view the Heat compared to the other top teams in the East? They aren't quite as star-heavy as the Nets or 76ers.
Jacoby?
Oh, this is great. Well, I watched this game and I kept waiting for the Bulls to come back. I'm like, the Bulls were the top two teams in the East. Let me get my popcorn. Let me put the kids to bed. Let me just sit down and watch this game tight. And it just never happened. I mean, they made light work of the Bulls, and Bam Adebayo is back to being Bam Adebayo from the bubble. And listen, again, like Desmond Bane, I'm not going to sit here and speak into this microphone and look at this camera and act like Strus, Yurt 7, and Gabe Vincent were on my radar. I was like, oh, watch out for the Heat this year. There's a guy named Yurt 7 who's going to really contribute. Gabe Vincent.
Let's go.
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna act like I really thought that these would be contributing players to the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. Yet here we are, and it's not because the Nets and the Sixers had their little problems and injuries and bad vibes. This team is playing great team defense and offense, and sometimes you have to look at it like this to make a football reference. Is they're just well coached. They develop their players, and they probably have the best coach in the Eastern Conference. That's hard to argue.
That's a great instinct for you to know to go to the opposite side. You are a debatable pro. I would like to chime in before we go to Monica and say, I thought I heard someone say shout out to the Georgetown Hoyas, who are currently 0-17 in conference play.
It's 18, and
ooh, my bad.
Your 7
shout out
was a Hoya,
Patrick.
so I'm gonna take that.
Is this like spades? Can you just go lose them all and then you get extra points? Is that how it works? I haven't played spades in a while. She's not even frozen. That's not even her connection. That's her heart.
It is my heart. It's breaking. Golly.
Shout out Patty U.
It's tough. It's hard times out here. Dark times. Am I talking? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think the thing with the Heat that is most intriguing, particularly if they run into the 76ers, is how well they're able to defend pick and roll. And not that James and Embiid are going to run traditional pick and roll, but not just Bam Adebayo, but him as the anchor. The rest of that team's commitment to defense to me is impressive. And I don't know what it is. I know they got swept by the Bucks at one point, but I swear to you, something about the Heat and the Bucks, the Heat are they are one of the teams best equipped to match up with them.
I think Jacoby has something important to say, or he's trying to become an American citizen. I'm not sure what was happening.
I saw a play last night. It was a pick and roll play where Bam Adebayo was guarding the roll guy. He switches onto the ball handler. He's fully switched onto the ball handler.
Yep.
Ball handler throws a lob to his man. He retreats back and intercepts the lob before it even gets to the role player, the roll man. Now, I'm not going to say this has never happened in the history of the NBA, but I don't think I've ever seen it before. Maybe Giannis can do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I
it
think
was
Giannis
wild.
did something like that in the finals last year.
Yeah, but it was
remember.
honestly like
Yeah.
it was like rushing the quarterback and then turning him around and intercepting the ball 10 yards downfield. That's what it felt like.
I mean, I think the Heat and the 76ers is an interesting matchup because they seem to fit well. Like the two biggest stars, presumably, kind of will be across from each other. And if there is anybody that can slow Embiid, which I guess the answer to that is no, there isn't anybody, it would be Bam, because Bam, like, he gave Giannis some trouble, but I guess Giannis isn't as skilled as Embiid. So it's as excited as I am for the Heat, and we talked about how the playoffs are different and coaching matters a lot in the NBA playoffs, and they have Spo. As excited as I am for the Heat, it's hard because when Giannis or Embiid or somebody steps out there, as good as Bam is defensively, I think that it's a net positive for the opponent and not for the Heat.
I hear you on that, and I think Bam obviously is a very important part of that, but I actually look at the James Harden-Jimmy Butler matchup. Like, if James doesn't find a defensive commitment, you know what I'm saying? Like, teams are going to go right at him in the pick and roll. And, like, right. I trust Jimmy to get it going on the defensive end of the ball as opposed to just one side. So I'm just – that could be a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm gonna agree and disagree with both of you. Domonique, I think Bam is one of the few players in the league that I would feel comfortable guarding Giannis. However, Mr. Dedmon, who plays behind him, you know, Bam's not going to play 48 minutes, and there's a pretty big drop-off, especially athletically, defensively, between those two. And the Jimmy thing is, like, I can't get it out of my head that Game 5. Remember Game 5 in the bubble? Yeah. In the finals when he went toe-to-toe with LeBron and just like that was a single-handed performance where he's like, I'm not letting this team lose. Now, granted, Game 6 he did let them lose, but that I was sitting there watching that game with my jaw open, just like, am I watching like someone make the real superstar leap? Like, am I watching someone go toe-to-toe with LeBron?
And what was the answer? To that?
No, actually.
Okay, so that's the hard part.
The answer was no.
That's the hard part. It's like no one believes that he's going to be able to do it again or do it multiple times. And also,
but you had to look at the whole team there. Like, I mean, the Lakers were built to win. Like, he took a leap.
Important, Monica. I'm sorry to cut you off, but if your last name is going to be Dedmon, you got to be good at defense. You can't.
Very important.
First of all, important. We're leading that thought with important, Monica.
Very
sorry
important.
to cut you off.
It is. I mean, that must be said.
I'm gonna make a
Don't wait for
about
internet
this guy's
connection
last
now.
name.
Must be said. You can't be bad at defense and have the last name Dedmon because that's what they're yelling. As soon as you come out, they're pointing at you. Dead man. And then if it happens.
Tough. It's tough.
Very tough.
I mean, as a cornerback, I can relate. I would have changed my last name if it was like Toasty or something.
Well, can I answer the question below? Producer, check. I want to answer the question below because I don't want to overreact to the 76ers after 2 games with James Harden. But I'm definitely going to overreact to the 76ers after 2 games with James Harden. Granted, they did play the trash Knicks and the Timberwolves, who are much better this year than last year. But, man, like, there was cohesion there. There was chemistry there. Now, I know this just might be first date James Harden, who, like, has a track record of kind of being on his best behavior when he first puts on a new uniform. But these 2 games from them, and they don't play again for a while. I think they play the Knicks again on Wednesday, so we can overreact to that on Thursday. But, like, they look really good. Just the way that those 2 play together looked really good to me. So I would pick them over the Sixers in a 7-game series against the Heat right now.
Nah.
That's it?
Great analysis.
Nah. I think that we're all too in love. Like, they first of all, Joel has to stay on the floor, right? Like, if they don't get DeAndre Jordan, there's really no backup for him essentially any longer. You lose Seth Curry, so to me, Tyrese Maxey is benefiting from the presence of James Harden, but he don't shoot the ball the way Curry did. Tobias Harris, we're still waiting for him to find his stride. Maybe he could be the absolute X factor, but nah. I think I actually would take the Heat. Why not? Mayhem.
I mean, Alabaster, Be aggressive with your the tentative sign. That
I
you're
know I walked
slipping
him
in
off
and out,
that.
like,
I appreciate that,
yeah.
Alabaster. Thank you,
I
Alabaster.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like this, like half. No.
Where's
Throw
the
that thing
loser?
down.
No, I
Here's
appreciate
what I want
you,
to say.
Alabaster.
We went
Thank
down
you.
we went down a rabbit hole of Bam Adebayo being a good matchup for Giannis and a good defender for Giannis. Not the case. When the Bucks swept the Heat last year, Giannis had, a paltry 24, 15, and 8 against Bam as the primary defender in a 4-game
But he made it
series
work.
when they annihilated. Furthermore, Jimmy Butler, who we're, anointing the next Jordan, he's shooting under 20% from three this year. Duncan Robinson can't find a bucket either. Like in the bubble, they all shot out of their minds like the Lakers. But this Heat team is going to have to hit jump shots to play like an interior strong team like the Bucks or 76ers in the playoffs. Are we sure they can do that?
How's Tyler Hero playing these days? I know
Looks
he's
great.
been
His
in the
outfits.
right?
Feast or
He's been
famine.
playing well. He's been playing well the last month and a half. But his outfits have been. Oof, you see that
Yeah.
yesterday? The
Yeah.
leather shorts with the baseball top and the sunglasses.
Man,
It's a different generation, guys.
I know, Jacoby. When we were young, do you think that like someone who was in their 40s looked at what we had on and was like, "Hey, that's cool"?
No,
Like, I think that's just what's happening. Is like we have passed into the part of our lives where anything that the young people do that's different, we accept that we pretend that it's terrible when they are the ones who decide what's cool. Like,
oh yeah, I thought
Tyler
he
Hero's
looked good.
much cooler than us.
I thought he looked good. I would never wear anything that any of these NBA players wear, but I thought it looked good. I like the fit. I like the shoes.
Could you pull it off though? I know you wouldn't choose to pull it off, but like,
No,
say you
I could
had
not-
to.
No, I could
Can
not.
we
I could not.
please do a catwalk? Well, not catwalk, but an entry walk with you guys in some of their fits. Like we need that on Debatable.
It's all about the confidence.
That's
It is.
You
Like-
think this show can't even get you an internet connection? You think they're spending $10,000 on an
no.
outfit for
No,
30
no.
seconds of content?
And first of all, you're not spending $10,000 on it. You're going to the thrift store and doing your best
Yeah,
to
we
do
gotta
lookalikes.
get the Zara brand.
Duh.
Like we do it for cheap. Don't they do that in like
Exactly.
People magazine?
That's
they
a
like
show.
put up
The look for
they're like,
less.
hey,
Yeah, look
yeah,
for-
we gotta go to
look for less.
man. I'll splurge in
There's
in
this-
Zara and Rainbow.
There's something
Rainbow!
about Tyler
You
Hero
remember
and
Rainbow?
Duncan Robinson I just really enjoy. There's something about those two players. I can't really figure out exactly what it is. I just really love this. It's their game, their commitment to the game.
Crafty.
You know what I mean?
Crafty, yeah.
Yeah.
They're crafty, deceptively quick, and they're shooters. As soon as they walk in the gym, shooter.
Oh yeah, they're the gym rats. Gym rats. Spent a lot of time in the gym.
Did you have a rainbow in the mall close to you, Jacoby, when you were growing up?
No,
You didn't have a rainbow?
didn't have a rainbow. I'm older than you guys. Shout out to Orange
Yeah.
Julius though. We had those.
Oh, Orange Julius. That was universal. Mm-hmm.
Rainbow
Also,
is not a
the
food
pretzel
place.
place.
It's where you go. It was like Zara before Zara. It's like you could get a
It was-
whole outfit for your girlfriend for $13.
I was gonna say I don't even know if it's on the same level as Zara because
Yeah.
Zara's got to look.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, here we go.
All right, guys, you ready for a round of What Are the Chances?
Sure.
We'll play you a clip. You tell us the chances. First one, and actually the only one. What are the chances this pass cost DeAndre Jordan his job?
Show the pass. Oh, hey now.
All right, this is not DeAndre Jordan's fault. All right, when DeAndre Jordan, 7'4" DeAndre Jordan has to look around and then take 3 dribbles. Like, this isn't my job, guys. This isn't my job. How about one of you little people runs to me and gets this ball out of my hands? So this is not on DeAndre Jordan. So I'm gonna say this did not affect his standing.
Oh, they did sign a little guy. There you go. They replaced him. I don't think
DJ
that's the reason why he lost his job, but it has to hurt to get cut from this team. This team that like is a bottom dwelling team at this point. They seem to be getting worse and worse. For them to look at you and be like, you know what? You're not good enough to be here. Like that just feels like
You're
an
too old.
unnecessary
When
shot.
Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James look at you and be like, dog, you're too old.
Russell Westbrook looks over and says, "Hey, you turned the ball over too much. That turnover right there.
That's
cost
the
us.
last one.
You gotta go."
I honestly, I kept turning to this game because I wasn't sitting and watching, and I was like, is that another turnover? That one? I was like, oh no, come on now.
Wow.
This is ridiculous. They threw the ball all over the gym for real.
I don't
So,
even know
no.
how the physics work on that pass.
There
I
we
really
go.
don't know how I think he was trying to pass it outside of the arena. We've all been to Staples, Crypto, whatever. Like, there are tunnels there. You can throwing it to, to Jack Nicholson's special bathroom.
I mean, he was basically just joining what the whole team was doing, though, too. Like, you get one, I get one,
I appreciate that none of us respected the question.
No.
And we all answered it yes or no and didn't give him a percentage that he wanted.
No.
There you go. Good, powerful interjection placement right there. Come in
Yeah.
strong, chest out.
I got 3 things to interject. First one. That's an all-time hot take, Jacoby. He threw that ball into the 10th row, and you said it wasn't his fault.
Not his
Second
fault.
of all,
Play it again.
Second
Play
of
it
all-
once again. Look, he's got the ball in his hands. He's looking around. He's looking around like, guys,
okay.
guys,
Look
not
where
to
this
dribble
ball
this thing.
lands.
He hasn't dribbled in 4 years. He doesn't even know the rules. He's like, wait, what? How do I do this?
No, this turnover in that, y'all don't understand, that ball was going to everybody but people in Lakers jerseys the entire game. Like, this is the most fitting turnover of the ball game.
Man, all right.
Okay.
What else you got for us, Alabaster? You said
Second
you got 3?
interjection. DJ Augustine actually makes the Lakers older. He is older than DeAndre Jordan. They signed the one guy to make their average roster age older. And the third thing, I have a question for you, Domonique.
Oh, here we go.
Ooh, does this make the Lakers scarier now that they have DJ Augustine instead of DeAndre Jordan? Are they
Oh,
still the
man.
team that no one wants to see in the first round?
I've been holding on
Never
to
said
that
they're
one,
the
too.
team that no one wants to see, but I did say that they're a team that you would not want to bet against. I stand by that.
Oh, I
They are
remember
still a team that you don't want to bet against. If AD is healthy, like, I recognize that they're not good. I know that they stink, but the point is, they have a track record. They just won a championship a couple years ago. If you see them in the first round, you're going to be like, this sucks. If they're healthy, that's a reasonable take. You're going to keep throwing it in my face like AD is currently healthy and like LeBron James is not still LeBron James. That's fine.
That's fair. I think what this is it's really, if they get out of the play-in, they may have to win 2 play-in games, which is wild to me. But let's imagine that happens. I'm not excited if I'm the Warriors or the Suns or the Grizzlies. Would I pick the Lakers to upset those teams? No, but like, this is my reward for having literally the best record in the NBA. This is my reward, is I get to play against 3 players that are all going to the Hall of Fame. 4, if you include DJ Augustine.
I hear you. If you include DJ Augustine, I hear you in terms of being a 1 seed and that's your reward. But ultimately, like, the margin for error.
Yes. I like it. Nailed that take. Get them. Monica, so much knowledge right there.
I quit.
Just filling
I'm
us
just
up.
gonna write on that.
It's always once you start ramping up and get going.
Yeah,
It doesn't want to let you be great.
yeah.
I'm going to buy a computer today.
It doesn't want to let you be great.
It's
Again,
perfectly
while we're talking
timed
about
every
computer
time, too.
Issues, computer's fine. The second you start ramping up for a great take, it just freezes.
The timing is
less-
always perfect. Right
worse.
now, there's no freezing right now. You're just talking.
I have nothing to
normal,
say.
no freezing.
Nothing to
And
say.
as soon as you try to get into
I
it,
quit.
it's just too much. And let me take another
for you, because I was also
Okay.
the like puncher's chance guy. Listen, when you've got these superstars, playoff basketball changes. Like I went down that mental exercise, and I believed in the Lakers until about 3 weeks ago. But you're still there. You're still
No.
at this like puncher's chance.
You believe it? LeBron versus the Lakers is different.
I don't believe in the Lakers, and Alabaster keeps trying to throw this on me. My point is a fair one, and I stand by it. It's the same point that you made. It's like the betting odds on a series with a healthy AD and LeBron are going to be much worse than you would expect them to be for a team with that record, because we all recognize that those guys have ability that they have not tapped into so far this season. Put your finger down.
We're doing this now.
No.
Oh, we got
No,
to
the
do this
betting-
now.
The betting odds are now 50-1 for the Lakers to win the title. The betting odds are not different for a
Okay,
team with
here we
LeBron
go.
James.
You're talking about matchup, right?
Anthony
Wait
Davis
till
is
we
made of
see.
glass.
Wait till we get to the playoffs.
He is
Wait till we
made
get to
of
the
I
playoffs.
have a question for Monica, and I'm going to ask you the same thing, Domonique. If it was number 1 seed gets to pick their opponent, number 2 seed gets to pick their opponent, number 3 seed gets to pick their opponent, if that was playoff structure, which would be interesting, if you had the number 1 seed, there's a few teams I would pick before the Lakers.
That's all I'm saying.
Jazz, Denver,
That's all I'm saying.
Mavs. I'm looking at those
That's all I'm
3.
saying.
Jazz, Denver, Mavs. Maybe not Mavs. No, definitely Mavs.
I
I'm
would
looking
say
at those
not
3.
Jazz, but I got you on.
Not Jazz.
Yeah, the
Jazz
like
who
the Jazz starting to
stinking
get
up in the
healthy.
playoffs every year.
Yeah,
Get
but they're
healthy.
like they get to the second round last year, right? Like, they won a series.
They
Get
lost
healthy.
to the Clippers in the second round, I believe.
I'd probably go Mavs Clippers. before.
Either way, my point is made, and fear is not rational. It's rarely is it rational. After you see a scary movie and you want to leave all the lights on in your house, you know the movie wasn't real, but you're scared of it because you saw it. It's the same thing with LeBron and AD. Like, you know that their talent or their ability is not real, but you're still going to leave them damn lights on, Alabaster.
This is a great point. Do you have to? Sometimes I have to cleanse after watching a scary movie at night. I'm like, let me just cleanse for a second. Let me see what's going on
Watch
below
something
deck.
funny.
Let me see what's going on below deck.
That's what a man says. You try to hold on to your masculinity. Like, I just need a cleanse. Just go ahead and lean into it, Jacoby. You're scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. And I need somebody to cuddle up next to, and I'm not turning these lights off tonight.
I'm deadbolting the doors. I'm locking the windows on the second floor. I'm locking the windows on the second floor.
You and me both. I don't like scary movies.
Me neither.
All right, guys.
I don't
You
get
ready to
that
move
point.
on?
No, I want to talk about scary movies. What's your favorite scary movie?
We're moving
Monica?
on to another terrifying.
I hate scary movies.
terrifying
You know what?
topic.
Leprechaun. You remember Leprechauns or Leprechaun?
Leprechaun.
You don't remember
There's
that?
many of them. They
No,
made
Yeah.
I don't like
17 of
scary
those.
movies.
You remember when he went to the hood? Of course.
Bro,
And
Child's Play. I was at the wrong age to see Child's Play because Chucky got
There's
me.
no right age to see Child's Play. Did
Chucky
you have a My
got me.
Buddy?
My son is 8 and he wants to see Jaws. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna go good for you, my guy. When you go to the beach this summer.
Jaws is also terrifying. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's not real, but you're not gonna want to go swimming at the Cape next year. We can go visit the family.
My parents won't go on a cruise because of the Poseidon.
Is that a movie?
The Poseidon?
The Poseidon.
You know, the god?
It's a movie
Like,
when they like, it's like kind of
the brother
Titanic.
of Zeus?
No, it's a, okay. All right, I lose. Go out,
I'm confused. Like, you think he's gonna throw a trident through
Yeah.
their cruise
You're
ship?
the
What's
god
going
of the
on?
sea.
No, the cruise ship like capsizes.
ride a
and it's,
seahorse?
The
terrible.
movie. Gotcha.
Yeah, the Poseidon. Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't like going on cruises because, aside from Disney cruises, they're terrible.
Yeah, I mean, and gross and dirty, and
Yeah.
yeah, I've never been on a cruise. I went on a Nile cruise one time,
I've never been
but
on
we
a
could
cruise
see
either.
the land the whole time.
Oh, yeah, I went on a
That's-
cruise. I went on a
that
cruise once.
cruise?
It was a good time because all my friends were there. But man,
A river cruise is what you did.
Mm-hmm. All right,
All right,
now we're
next
ready.
topic. All right, we're gonna play a game of if then. I'll give you a conditional statement. You guys fill it out. First one. Ooh, if the terrifying
Here we
Lakers get blown out again tonight, then blank.
Then we'll find another reason to talk about LeBron on this show. So I don't know why you give me such a hard time. I am doing your job for you, producer. I'm giving you a way to wedge LeBron and his stinky team into the show, which is what we
Stinky
do
team.
here at ESPN. We get LeBron on the screen. We talk about him as much as possible. You're welcome.
mm-hmm.
LeBron should be considering shutting it down. Would be my series. Then
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
So
That
just
knee
give up on
starts
the
swelling
season?
up again. He needs to see a
I mean,
specialist.
yeah. Like,
There's going to be some real good passive-aggressive, sub-tweety, sneak dissing from LeBron James if they get blown out again. That's what I like. Like he'll just anything. It'll be just like a little like he'll touch his nose to the screen or something, or wear a certain hat that one time Steve Presti wore, and that definitely means he's going to be on the Thunder next year. Like it's going to be like deep level of sub-tweeting, passive-aggressive disrespect from LeBron James. And you're going to need to like really go Zapruder to figure it out. And I can't wait.
Zapruder. I like that. I've never heard that
this
pronunciation.
team is bad.
Zapruder? I don't know.
Yeah, I've always heard Zapruder, but I like Zapruder. I'm going Zapruder. I was trying to think of like some tourist attraction in Oklahoma City that he could like wear
There's
a
a
hat
Hooters.
or a t-shirt for. Like
There's a Hooters.
they got a haunted hotel, I think.
Oh yeah,
I remember
haunted
reading
hotel.
about a
There you
haunted
go.
hotel.
There you go.
Yeah, they got a haunted hotel. I mean, that's about it. And Monica.
I'm just waiting till it unfreezes. Yeah, haunted hotel. Here we go.
What you got next, Alabaster?
All right, we're moving on. We're moving on to the Nuggets. And there are positive reports out of Denver. Jamal Murray, who's missed the year with an ACL tear, and Michael Porter Jr., who has chronic back problems, might be back in mid-March. Our question is, if they join Nikola Jokic and this Nuggets team before the playoffs, then blank.
Then we can restart the Michael Porter Jr. injury clock. The Michael Porter Jr. injury countdown will reopen. It's sad. He's a talented player. Off the court, I have to say about him that he's a talented player, and he gets injured a lot.
Availability is the best ability.
I mean, There's
You've been
there's
hanging
a
around
few
football
things.
players too much.
There's a few things like these players are coming back, right?
Not enough
Murray.
time.
These are all superstars. Murray, Durant, Simmons, Paul, Draymond. Like these are all key stars. And the question is there's availability. Like, yeah, I'm available to play, but am I in shape? Can I play 40 minutes in a playoff game? Am I as effective as I used to be? And I think those questions about Murray and Porter Jr. and all the other players I named are what's going to answer who advances and who doesn't.
I will add to that too, Jacoby. I think continuity is a thing. We talk about the switch up of playoff basketball. Like, yeah, as great as Jamal Murray is, you just roll him out there and no one has to give or take or sacrifice, a la Andrew Wiggins and the return of Klay Thompson. So I just don't know if there's enough runway left to get them not only lathered up individually, but the team.
James Harden
Is a very rare specimen.
I mean, I learned last Friday, I think it was, a very smart basketball man taught me that you don't get better at basketball by not playing basketball. So I believe that they are not playing basketball, so they're not going to be good at basketball. They're probably really terrible, all of them. They're bad basketball players now. Sorry, Monica. It's just an inside thing.
It was a callback to last Friday's show. Dominique tried to convince me there was such a great thing that Chris Paul got injured as they
Monica's
head into the playoffs.
Monica's going to be on my side.
That was
Monica's
his spin.
going to be on my side.
That was his
I
one
don't-
spin.
Monica's
I
going to be
don't
on my
love
side.
it, but there is some silver lining to it.
Thank you. Monica's on my side because the
ain't
guy
on
who
your side,
somehow
dog. That ain't on your
gets
side.
hurt in every playoff series and wears down towards the end of most of his
hurt
playoff
now.
runs gets an opportunity to rest up. Go ahead and get your injury out the way now. It's not a lower body thing. It's not a shoulder thing. It's a thumb. No big deal. He can run cardio, do all the practice stuff. He is going to be better off come the playoffs because of this injury. It's a real thing. Believe it.
I actually like that. Jacoby.
Thank you.
There's
Thank you.
credence there. And he's absolutely involved 100%, like on the bench, like he's totally locked in, not away from the team.
He's not doing a Kyrie when Kyrie was with the Celtics and just disappeared on that playoff run.
Sure did.
What else we got? We got anything else? Are we at the
we got
end?
one
bottom
more
of the
topic.
barrel?
We got a football topic.
Boo.
And this is a report. And if Sean McVay really turned down $100 million from Amazon to return to the Rams, then blank.
And he likes work way more than me. Like, I'm very confused. Like, did he learn nothing from Bill Cowher? Because I guess you really like your job and you like your team's chances coming up, but this is not only the best thing for your pocket, it's the best thing for your career financially. There's nothing better than a Super Bowl winning coach who then sits in a booth for a couple years. Your price goes up. I mean, however long.
He can do this for 40 more years.
I'm just saying, if he wants to get back into coaching, like 2 years from now, can you imagine what Sean McVay would command if he took a couple of years off? The point is, there's no downside. Unless you think that you're going to win the Super Bowl again this year, there's no downside to going to the booth for a few seasons.
Go ahead, Monica.
As long as they're not absolutely terrible over the next 2 years, he could command this in 2 years, no? Like, if Amazon wants you, Amazon's going to pay.
Exactly. Well, there's one thing that this $100 million is one thing to say, but with most contracts that have to do with the NFL, you got to read like the fine print. Like, how many years is this $100 million spread over?
That's fair. Good point.
You know what I mean? Like, if I said I'm making 20 a year, no
20
chance.
a year.
No chance.
No, that's not.
There's you can have an ear. You can have an ear and two fingers for $100 million. Like, seriously, I'm giving you an ear and two fingers, and I'll be wide awake while you chop them off if you give me $100 million. There's very few things that I would not do for $100 million check. Very few.
But Monica, things could change. So you're saying that job will still be there, but he may not be the guy in 3 years. There might be some other person who's won a couple Super Bowls. He could go 5-12 the next couple of years. All these things could change. You know what will still be there is a coaching job. Like, if he goes into the booth, one thing we've learned when John Gruden came out of the booth for $100 million contract after like not coaching for a decade plus.
That's true.
Like there's no downside to being a successful NFL head coach and going to the booth. It just raises your value. So he must really like coaching.
Well,
and
you
not
said
really
it
like
right
money
earlier,
that much.
Dominique. You said it right earlier when you said he must like work because being an NFL coach sounds like real like work.
My
Like if you don't work 20-hour days, people are like, "There's something wrong with that guy." You know what I mean? Like it's like I heard Coach went home last night. It's like, bro, it's Wednesday. The game is on Sunday. I went home and slept for 6 hours, took a shower, and came back. Like we all know the lives of sports media. It's earmuffs, everybody. It's a lot less work than being an NFL head coach. You got a Thursday night game, you fly on Tuesday, maybe, go to a practice on Wednesday, talk to some people, have a nice dinner at a nice restaurant in a new city, and then you fly
charge
back
it to the
Friday
game.
morning. Like
Amazon's paying for that nice dinner.
Exactly.
You
and you're making
you can market price that thing up.
$20 million a year?
Guys, he could just not want to do TV too. Like
True,
it's not for
true.
everybody.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, that's crazy.
I mean,
just like Jacoby said, there's a lot of things that Jacoby would not want to do, but for $100 million, you figure out, you just go, I'm gonna have to live without these fingers.
You might even have a hand. You might even take my left hand. I'll think you can take my hand. No ear.
No.
You have the hand, no ear.
I don't get Monica. I don't understand how you are trying to argue on the other side of this. It makes clear sense to me.
Because money isn't everything, guys.
True. Agreed. It helps.
I thought for sure my internet was gonna stop there.
Self-care, lifestyle, passion for the game.
But y'all just also did the
in.
math too. Like you act like he's poor. Like
That's fair. I get it.
Oh, no.
I understand.
Oh, I'll never do the if you make 10 million, you're good. You don't need 20 million thing.
As somebody who makes 10 million a year, they believe that they need to find
20.
a way to get to 20. Like it's a sickness that can't be cured. And Sean McVay I guess that's the argument for it, is he is refusing to give into this, but he used this as leverage to get some more money out of the Rams. So
good for him.
Obviously somebody cares about it. I mean, as someone who had to sit through a few minutes of like remodeling talk around my house this morning, like I recognize Sean McVay, you need to go ahead and get that money, get that 100 mil, slide a couple this way so we can.
But one thing they're not doing is when he scored 10 points against Belichick and lost in the Super Bowl, no one was checking for him then. You know what I mean? So when the market's hot, you got to make some kind of move. So whether he's getting more money from the Rams or he's getting a gang of money from Amazon, like now is the time, Mr. McVay, because you can start the season 0-4 next year, and all of a sudden these opportunities, the agent ain't picking up your phone call anymore.
You think that they're gonna give you $200 million if you win the Super Bowl next year? No, they still got that $100 million deal still gonna be there.
But he will have won the Super Bowl again, and that's what makes him happy.
Does he? I mean, so that's another misnomer. The word "happy" in coaches doesn't match.
I literally was about to say the same thing. I don't think I've ever seen an NFL head coach happy.
No.
Well, Sean McVay, remember when he runs down the sideline and does all that? Dick Vermeil comes to mind because of all the crying after winning. But I don't look at NFL coaches and say that guy's a joyous human being with just a je ne sais quoi, joie de vivre.
You got French on him?
Yeah.
I think like for the 2 hours after they won the Super Bowl, maybe even that whole day, that whole evening, he was probably happy. He's not happy anymore.
He watched it now. Now he's watching the tape of the Super Bowl thing.
Okay.
He's headed to the combine. He's about to eat some St. Elmo's shrimp. The man ain't happy.
Shrimp is so good. I submit to you, maybe he wants to
shrimp
compete.
ain't good.
That
You don't
shrimp is
get good shrimp in Indianapolis.
That shrimp is
Stop
good.
it.
It's the sauce.
That shrimp is good.
Sauce.
The St. Elmo's is hot. Like maybe he enjoys the competition versus being on the sideline. Like
you need to stop it.
I
don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to talk about how St. Elmo's shrimp is good relative to the rest of the shrimp in Indianapolis. In New York, are you like clamoring to get to St. Elmo's to get shrimp, Jacoby? You could get shrimp as good as St. Elmo's shrimp in New York, a ton of different places. Let's not act like St. Elmo's shrimp.
Sauce.
You can't get that is the best shrimp cocktail I've ever had in my life. And yes,
all it is more horseradish, guys. You could make it at home.
You know, one thing I'm not doing though is we've all seen this one. When you go to the grocery store and they're like, if you would like 1,000 pieces of shrimp on ice here, it's only $14.99. I'm like, no. I'm not inviting people over my house and breaking out this plastic tray of shrimp that cost me $9. If you charge me $100 for it, I'm more likely to buy it than when you charge me $9 for 100 pieces of shrimp cocktail.
That's a tray of laxative. That's all that is. It's just a tray of laxative. I ain't messing with that.
Alabaster ain't even interjecting anymore. He just let
sorry.
It's okay. That was much better than my interjection. We do have a bonus tweet to end the show, though. And this is actually a tweet that Domonique Foxworth sent out during the show. And I guess it's just an update on an old tweet. And it says, Micah Parsons and the Lakers are terrifying.
So much fun. Nice, great callbacks.
That's gold.
Outstanding. I
That's
erased
gold.
that tweet. I erased all my old tweets, honestly.
It's
I
probably good.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's
Except
probably
for
good.
3 months ago. It's the last tweet I had.
The
Rest
Lakers
of
are
them
not
gone.
terrifying.
Yeah, they're not, but
They're not
it's fine.
terrifying.
They are terrifying in a different way.
For Lakers.
Leprechaun is terrifying. Have you seen it? Monica, go watch
No,
the movie
I-
Leprechaun.
You're not keeping me
You know
up.
what gets
Watch
me?
the one-
Exorcist. Exorcist gets me because anything that says based on a true story, whether it's true or not, when you say based on a true story, those are the ones that keep me up at night.
The
Blair
Exorcist
Witch.
is horrifying.
Blair Witch.
We watched it every year on Halloween.
Blair
at
Witch
school.
is not. No spoilers. But
No,
I went to
I know
Blair
that,
Witch
but
with a
at the
friend.
time.
I went to Blair Witch with a friend. And I told him before we went to the movie theater, I was like, "This is all actual found footage." I was like, "Bro, this is a documentary," and he lost his mind.
I
And
think
then
they like
afterwards, I
filmed
had to
it.
be- Afterwards, I was
like-
like, "Bro, I was just kidding. It's not real."
It
That's
was
the
like we
worst.
kind of believed it was real
was-
footage, and they filmed it in Maryland where I grew up. So Blair Witch, that messed me up for a little bit, for a couple weeks there. I
No
was
scary
like,
movies here.
Well,
Everybody
I
go
love
watch
Chris,
The Lion
Chris Rock's
King.
joke. They're like, they made that movie for $10,000. He's like, where'd the other $9,000 go? They spent it on shrimp cocktail.
Watch
St. Elmo's.
Leprechaun Goes to the Hood. It'll make you angry and scared at the same time.
Scangry?
Gangry.
That's a new thing. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, y'all. Work on my internet.
Bye.
It's working now.
I know.
Yeah,
Look at
now,
that.
once we start talking about scary movies, the connection's
Super
great.
moody.
Terrible.
Today's the worst.